All right, I am live, but I am got to clean my coffee cup up. We're going to be doing public inputs today. Let's just go straight to camera A. All right. Welcome. So, working on some public inputs. So, just like yesterday, I think it was, I went live and we did some public inputs together. I had some people dial in, and whether or not I get some people, I'm okay with that. So what I need to do, there was a task group, NFPA task group on HVAC, which we met once. I didn't have a chance to meet to bring the team together. So what I'm doing is, after I clean my plate up, I am going to develop a series of public inputs that basically make it so that we can continue or perform our work for the 2029 edition. And we got Carlos Ramirez. Hey, Buckeye, Arizona. You know, Ohio is the Buckeye state. I didn't realize Arizona was too. So what I'm doing is I've got to pull together the I want to put a public input or a series of public inputs in on the concepts that the task group talked about, but we never finished. And one of the efforts that we wanted to do, or that the team was thinking of doing, and again, we didn't get 100% consensus on it, so I'm going to put it in as me. I'm not going to describe why, I'm doing it. I'm just going to put the public input in, and then I'll probably present to the team. But one of the concepts was that, now I double clicked on Word, and Word should come up. One of the concepts was that we wanted to take Article 440, which, if you recall, Article 440 is air conditioning and refrigerating equipment. So what the task group talked about was what happens if I have a piece of equipment that does air conditioning, which we're going to call, that's really not, it's implied on what we mean about it. But I personally had questions on what, if I heat the air, I'm conditioning it. If I cool the air, I'm conditioning it. Right? So I'm performing two functions, but what I'm learning is that when we say air conditioning, we're only talking about cooling. So if that's the case, then Article 440 as it stands is for air conditioning, move this, air conditioning and refrigerating equipment. Both of those are cooling only. So then the question came, what if I have a unit that does both cooling and heating? What section do I go to, or what article do I go to? So our task group was like, well, that's a good question. And we never got past that question. We had a bunch of ideas. I had a kickoff meeting. It was a general discussion. There's a lot of passion around this. So what I want to do is continue our work after the public input phase, which is tomorrow, April 9th, by 5:00 p.m. Eastern. And so what I'm going to do is, one of the discussion points that we had was combining Article 440 and 424. 424 is titled Fixed Electric Space Heating Equipment. So the thought process is that we create a new article. We don't create a new article. We modify Article 440. Let's see if I get this right. Cam A monitor left. Hold on. That's an old comment. So here's what I need to do. Watch this. Oh, I'm going to go to preview mode. Now I'm moving things around. Monitor B. All right, when you see this switch, you're going to go, whoa, Tom, what did you just do? And how did you do that? And I'm telling you, I have no clue how I did this, but I did it, and it worked. So watch this. Are you ready? Are you ready for some code? Back to live, publish. Boom. All right. So that way I have that over there, and when I do cam A monitor left, that is cam A monitor left. When I do cam A monitor right, I'm going to do this. Window. What I'm using is eCam. And preferences. So I go to Window, and I get to be able to change the there it is. All right. All right. I want to at least be able to look at this monitor and see it. And then when I do this, I'm looking at that monitor. All right. So here's what we're doing. Now that we got that out of the way. Looking at modifying Article 440. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it in Word. And then I am going to see if I can make the changes. I might simply, instead of trying to make the changes in the article, I'm thinking I take the Word document, say I want to change it, change the title, maybe do the scope. I might be able to go all the ways down through. And then attach this Word document. That way I have the ability to simply submit, and then I have a Word document that has all of the changes the way I want to see them. Does that make sense? All right, so here we go. Randy. If I'm wrong, but I think this is supposed to go to your group. NTI. Oh boy. No, it's not. It's not. No, it is not. All right. Oh, I see who that is. Okay, so. All right, so what I'm doing is let's zoom in on this. I want to do this type of a zoom. So these were some of the questions that we had. This goes back to February. Oh, February 16th. What is it? April. That's not too long ago. So I made a cappuccino, a double shot, maybe triple shot. I don't know, but I needed it. So Article 440, instead of saying air conditioning, we're calling it heating, cooling, air handling, and refrigerating equipment. Now, why do we do that? If I look at the UL standard, I'm going to do this. I'm going to say UL standard for heating and cooling. And it's going to tell me UL, well, there's 1995 was the one. This standard applies to air conditioning, heat pumps, dehumidifiers. I think it was 1995. So if I go, whoa, let's go here. If I go to ULSCCL, this is the Standards Certification Customer Library. I use my finger and I think it was 1995. Is that what it was? Yep, 1995. And look what they call it, heating and cooling equipment. So if I download, I understand. Oh, that's a cancel. That's historic. What? Download PDF. The document is inactive and is provided. That's the standard. I understand. I understand. Oh, I know why. Because there's the UL 60335-2-40. 60335-2-40. Enter. Household and similar electrical appliances, particular requirements for heating pumps, air conditioners, and dehumidifiers. So let's take a look at what the download was. Let's do the download on this standard. Yep. So they don't use air conditioning. They call it heating and cooling equipment, which I like better. I like heating and cooling because I know it's heating and I know it's cooling, and I can have equipment that does heating and cooling, right? Throw some heaters. If I can have I can have the condensate or whatever you want to call it, the heat pump, or say it's a heat pump. It's going to heat and it's going to cool. Now the question is, what about 60335? If I logged in, this one wants me to. Wow, that one wants me to purchase it. Why would I purchase it? I don't like that. Let's go back. I don't know why 1995 says edition 4 was, oh, edition 5. That's why. I gotta go to edition 5. That's better. So I go to edition 5. I downloaded edition 4. Where'd it go? There we go. See, there's 4-2, and now there's 5. So let's close that one. And it's still heating and cooling equipment. So we'll keep that open because we might need it. So that's why I went to heating and cooling. Air handling is, I had this discussion, we had this discussion on the task group, and I had this discussion with a few individual members of the task group one-on-one, and we called it air handling. I couldn't call it, what is it, heating, cooling, ventilation. I couldn't use ventilation. And the reason was because then if I said ventilation, then those fans that are over top of stoves or in bathrooms and other areas, those are ventilation. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about moving air. I might have a motor and a blower inside of a ductwork that helps move the air. It's not ventilation. Ventilation is different purposes. And we kept refrigerating equipment in there. So I had to change the scope. This article applies. Now I'm going to I want to open, I'm going to use NFPA link. Actually, I already have it open over here. I have it over here. I have NFPA link open, and I'm going to do this. I'm going to grab 424 for fixed electric space heating. So I have NFPA link open over here. I've got my Word document open over here, and I have text from the article 440, and I'm going to go from top to bottom in 440, and I am going to make sure that I have imported everything out of 424 and placed it into 440. All right, I'm going to hit delete on this, delete that thread. Air handlers in the scope, I am going to delete that thread. Okay. Well, let me do this now. All right, so I have Article 440, heating, cooling, air conditioning, and refrigerating. So my scope has to reflect that. This article applies to the electric motor driven heating, cooling, air handling, and refrigerating equipment, and to the branch circuits and controllers for such equipment. It provides for the special considerations necessary for circuits supplying hermetic refrigerant motor compressors and for any heating, cooling, or refrigerating equipment that is supplied from a branch circuit. Heating, cooling, ventilation, air handling. Jeez. All right, Steve. Hey, thanks, Steve. So here's what we're working on, Steve, is I'm trying to develop. I let everybody know I did not have time to work with my task group. The task group was supposed to be looking at Article 440 and 424 and 430, etc., to align all of these articles. It's a lot of work in a short period of time. Wasn't going to happen. So what I'm doing is I'm putting in public inputs that will make it possible for the task group to continue through to the first draft and second draft. Makes sense. All right. So, and what we did was we have 440 heating, cooling, air handling, and refrigerating equipment. It provides for special considerations necessary for circuits supplying hermetic refrigerant motor compressors and for any heating, cooling, air handling, or refrigerating equipment that is supplied from a branch circuit. Boom. Now, they had on here hermetic refrigerant motor compressors. Remember what 440 because hermetic refrigerant motor compressors, the motor is in a refrigerant. Because of that, it gets cooled, and they treat it separately. Now, I could argue, and which was another part of the stimulus of this task group, was that it's a motor. Why does it have its own article? Why isn't it in 430? It's a hermetic refrigerant motor compressor, which means that the motor compressor is in a refrigerant, which means it's cooled. And the requirements in here are supposed to handle that. Why aren't those requirements in 430? Because it's a motor. There's good arguments to that, but we did not want to remove it from 440. The task group was against it. So they said, we don't want to do that. Now, I'm expanding the scope of this. So I don't believe, if I look at the scope of 424, which is the other article, it says this article covers fixed electric equipment used for space heating. For the purpose of this article, heating equipment includes heating cables, unit heaters, boilers, central heating systems, or other fixed electric space heating equipment. This article does not apply to process heating and room air conditioning. Well, it's space heating. And this was another part of our discussion, if air conditioning is only cooling, then I don't need to say a fixed space heating equipment article doesn't include air conditioning. That would be like saying, we should also say in here, it doesn't include nuclear reactors. We already know it doesn't include that. Why is it in there? And that's why I questioned whether or not air conditioning really meant cooling only. When I heat a space, am I not conditioning the air? So anyway, and most of the equipment that's used in 440 is listed to 1995, which Air conditioning is not in there. It's not in the title, and it's sparsely used in the book. And in the standard, it specifically says when an air conditioner provides only cooling, or something like that. So it implies that air conditioning is not just cooling. That was good. All right, I needed that little shot of espresso. I'm gonna put that there for emergencies. Okay, so we are changing the scope. Now, in the previous scope over here, it includes, for the purposes of this article, heating equipment includes heating cables. We know that dot 2 has to be the listing requirements. We know it has to be listing requirements. So here's what I'm contemplating, what I'm trying to figure out is if I look at this one over here, it has, for the purposes of this article, heating equipment includes heating cables, unit heaters, boilers, central heating systems. What I'm thinking of over here is, why can't I? David, hey, thanks, good afternoon. I'm thinking over here, why can't I somewhere in say that what is included and what is not? So I thought, where do we do that, David? Where we say in an article what is covered and what is not covered. Is that in 110? Nope. Article 90. Scope and application, code arrangement. Scope and application of document. So 90.2 has scope and application, and what's in there is what's covered and what's not covered. So maybe, I wonder if anywhere in the scopes, yeah, but I'm wondering though, is it anywhere in a scope do we say what is covered and what is not covered? Or what is covered? We do. We say in 200, we say this article provides requirements for the following. So this article applies to electric motor. You know what? Here's what I'm going to do. Watch. I'm going to get crazy. I'm getting crazy. Watch this. I'm going to do this. This article also covers fixed electric equipment used for space heating, including the following. Heating cables. What do you guys think of this? Unit heaters, boilers, central heating systems, other fixed electric space heating equipment. And I'm going to get rid of that because, there's a process, right? For holy cow. There's fixed resistance, electrode, industrial process heating equipment, to process heating and room air conditioning. I think that's fair. I think that's still valid. Room air conditioners are covered in appliances, right, David Engelhart? All right, so let's do, oh, here's the other thing I like to do. I do this for, up, Control Z. I do this, and then I do dat. All right, so let's do this. Review, and I'm gonna go do no markup, and I'm gonna look at it for readability. This article applies to electric motor-driven heating, cooling, air handling, and refrigerating equipment, and to the branch circuits and controllers for such equipment. It provides for the special considerations necessary for circuits supplying hermetic refrigerant motor compressors and for any heating, cooling, air conditioning, air handling, or refrigerating equipment that is supplied from a branch circuit. This article also covers fixed electric equipment used for space heating, including the following. Room ACs are in 440. See, I'm in 440. Okay, so I got to take that out. Good point. I'm in 440, so that would be it. All right, so this article also covers fixed electric equipment used for space heating, including the following: heating cables, unit heaters, boilers, central. This article does not apply to process heating because process heating would be 425. Right? Or I can do this. Informational note. See Article 425 for fixed resistance and electrode. I thought you were in 424. No, here's what I'm doing, David. I'm combining 424 and 440. But I'm taking the contents of 424 and moving them to 440 and changing the title of 440 to be heating, cooling, air handling, and refrigerating equipment. Let me know your thoughts on that. Informational notes. See Article 425 for fixed resistance and electrode. Fixed resistance and electrode industrial process heating equipment requirements. That way, it's not positive text. I'm just saying what I'm covering. Keep heating and cooling separate. We can do that in this one article, but here was the issue, David, that we had on the task group. We had individuals who said, look, what if I have a piece of equipment, which they're out there, that does both heating and cooling? What article do you go to? Let's say I have a heat pump. I use a heat pump for both heating the house and cooling the house. I have an air conditioning unit. I have a unit, say, in my basement that does heating and cooling. It's all in the same unit. It's listed to 1995. So in some cases, I'll have a piece of equipment that does nothing but heating. In some cases, I'll have a piece of equipment that does nothing but cooling. And in some cases, I will have one piece of equipment that does both heating and cooling. So if I have a piece of equipment that does heating and cooling, where do I go? And what if there's a difference between the requirements found in 440 and the requirements found in 424? So what we talked about was combined. Now, we never finished our discussions. I don't know if the task group would have ended up doing what I'm doing now. So my thought process is, I don't want to lose that opportunity if that is where they go. So what I'm doing is taking my best swag at combining 424 and 440 into one article that's called Heating, Cooling, Air Handling, and Refrigerating Equipment. So if I have any system that does heating and or cooling or heating and cooling, and there are air handlers, then I would go to 440. It's a one-stop shop. I should do this. I'm new to the channel. I've started working as a power systems engineer with Schneider Electric. Welcome aboard, brother. I have started working with the NEC recently. Hope to be around here often. Excellent. Well, I hope you are as well. And what we're doing today is we are pulling together a public input. So what you're seeing now is, so here's the thing. I am very, sometimes too open, but I am very transparent when it comes to NEC stuff. I'll tell you what I'm thinking, where my heart is, where my soul is, and all that jazz. So that's what we're working on trying to combine these two articles for the 2029 code cycle. At least I'm trying to get that on the table. Those heat pumps that heat and cool in one unit does make it confusing. Yeah. So, and that was Donnie Cook was the individual who brought that up and said, look, I have equipment. And he showed air handling equipment. And he was saying, look, I have a unit that is in ductwork and it's sold as a part of that ductwork and it's listed to UL 1995. So it's heating and cooling equipment. And his comment was, what do I do? Do I follow 430 for a motor and just say, well, I'm going to treat it like a motor? Do I have to follow Article 440 because 440 is air conditioning and blah, blah, blah? Do I go to 420 if it's in the system, and then do I go to 424? So he said, look, we need clarity here. And, the correlating committee agreed and said, let's create a task group. Well, I didn't have time. I'm chairing it. I'm co-chairing it with Donnie. Neither of us had time because of all the task groups. So my thoughts are, let's get it on the table. And I'm combining both of these. So we have Article 440, heating, and I'm changing the title to heating, cooling, air handling, and refrigerating. So we need to cover all of these components. To David's point, some will just do heating, some will just do cooling, some will do heating and cooling. Then we'll have air handling, which air handling is really not handled anywhere. And then we have refrigerating equipment. And when we pulled in 424, the scope of 424 included these items. Now, I could say this article applies to the following and make one big list. Or this is the original scope of 440 with some minor tweaks. I'll show you my tweaks. I got rid of air conditioning. I put heating, cooling, air handling, and refrigerating equipment into the branch circuits and controllers for such equipment. It provides for special considerations necessary for circuits supplying hermetic refrigerant motor compressors, which that's when the motor is in a refrigerant, so it's cooled, and for any heating, cooling, air handling, or refrigerating equipment that is supplied from a branch circuit, period. See, what this article used to be was it focused on the hermetic motor, and it said, okay, if you have of these other systems, or like a refrigerant, and that is supplied from a branch circuit that supplies hermetic, so it's like you have this motor and other loads. So that's why Larry Ayer and a few others said, hey, look, this should be in 430. We, or the task group, decided no, they don't want to meld this into 430 because it'll just confuse people who are dealing with heating and cooling, etc. Allergies. So I'm just going to leave that like that. We can come back to it. Now, listing requirements. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this. And I'm going to do a new comment. And I'm going to say, this content comes from Article 424. It is necessary to include this detail because we are combining Article 424 with Article 440 and want to be sure, and what these are going to be is going to help me build my substantiation, and I'm going to include this Word document as part of the public input so they can see everything that I did. Article, and want to be sure that the scope is inclusive of that which Article 424 previously covered. Okay. And then up here, I'm going to say, I'm going to do a new comment. I'm going to say modifications were made. Modifications were made to include, to remove the term air conditioning and align the contents of this article, including the title, with the product standards to which these solutions are listed. UL 1995 is titled, and we're going to go to UL 1995, Heating and Cooling Equipment. Heating and cooling equipment. The term air conditioning is not used in the title of the standard. Now, here's the other thing I'm going to do. I'm going to go to the standard and I'm going to search for air conditioning. Okay. Supplement essay, requirements for duct-mounted UV lamp systems when employed in combination with air conditioning and heating systems, previously covered by 1995 CSA. This harmonized standard, this is the preface, the efforts and support of the heating and cooling equipment industry, the air conditioning and refrigeration, ARI, and the Heating, Refrigeration, and Air Conditioning Institute of Canada. This standard was reviewed, so these are organization names. Doesn't have anything to do with the product. It's an organization. Now, this is the scope. These requirements apply to the following. Oh, sorry. So I'm in. I thought I was sharing. These requirements apply to the following stationary equipment for use in non-hazardous locations: heat pumps for heating and cooling, with or without factory or field installed electric resistance heaters; air conditioners for cooling, with or without factory or field installed electric resistance heaters. Well, why would you need an electric resistance heater if an air conditioner only did cooling? I don't understand that. Is that for defrost? I mean, defrost is in a refrigerator. Why would I need installed electric resistance heaters if it doesn't do heating, if it only did cooling? And it has hot water or steam heating coils. Anyway, but they do use the term in the scope. Down here, air conditioners for cooling with or without factory. We already read that. The units referenced in Clause 1, self-contained heat pumps and air conditioners, may be cord connected if they are, that's cord connected. Computer room air conditioner. Coolant distribution equipment, air conditioning units. Heat recovery unit. They don't define an air conditioner either. My house has separate heat and air conditioning unit together. Yeah. So your house does both heating and cooling in the same unit. So that's the other question that we had. So in the code, we have a requirement in 422 for central heating equipment that you have to bring, I think, a receptacle to it or something like that. And Donnie was saying that he ran into numerous times when he would be in an argument with an electrician who said, I'm not going to bring a receptacle to this because it's not heating. It does heating and cooling. And the language in 422 says heating. So heating equipment. Well, he's like, well, this is heating and cooling equipment. So they would go back and forth because it was like, well, where do you what am I supposed to follow? Which article am I supposed to follow? Is it? It's not central heating. It's central heating and air conditioning. So anyway. So in any case, they do use the term air conditioner in here, but the standard is heating and cooling. Hence why I'm lining it with that. So heating and cooling equipment. The term air conditioning is not used in the title of the standard, but it is referenced at various locations within the standard. It is more appropriate to title the standard and make requirements for equipment that aligns with how it will be marked in the field and listed and tested. That's just my opinion. The separate air handler has the heat strip. Oh, yes, that's right. So that was another piece that Donnie was mentioning, that in some cases, those air handling units are going to have heaters in there where they're supplementing the heat for a lot of different reasons. Some of it could be for dehydration or evaporators or whatever. All right. Okie dokie. Okay, dokie. All right, so listing requirements. The following equipment shall be listed: factory assembled electric motor driven cooling and air heating equipment, factory assembled electric motor driven. I hate when it says factory assembled. So what if I assemble it in the field? I don't have to have it listed. I don't know. But that's the language that's there. I'm not going to change that. I'm just going to reformat it. The following equipment shall be listed. So factory assembled electric motor driven cooling and air heating equipment, which is already a part of the requirements. I need to stretch it out here. Oh, yeah. And then I included, that's up there. I said, we need a definition for this term. Equipment that conditions the air either via cooling or heating. Oh, that was the air conditioning. So I got rid of the term air conditioning. Factory assembled electric motor driven cooling and air heating equipment. So I'm going to edit this, edit comment, and I'm going to say the term air conditioning is being removed and replaced with cooling and air heating equipment. If the term air conditioner or air conditioner remains, the NEC should include a definition. I'm not a fan. Let me move this over here. I'm not a fan of flammable or oh no, I know. Yeah, so I made another input for that, David. I put a public input in that would require a battery backup for HVAC or heating and cooling equipment that includes that flammable refrigerant that would last, I think I said 2 hours or 1 hour or something like that. They can argue about that because of the flammability of it, because it's being used in panel 2 to argue against GFCIs. And if it is that hazardous, then I think that warrants something in 440. So I put a public input in for that. But I'm going to describe that. And then over here, I can say this imported from 424.2. And those are the same items: electric baseboard heaters, heating cables, duct heaters, radiant heating systems, low voltage fixed. And there is an informational note. See Article 424, Part 5, Part 10 for requirements regarding low voltage fixed electric space heating equipment. Why would you put that in there? I did not put the informational note in. Field installed electric heaters. Electric heaters, this is a part of 440. Electric heaters field installed within the enclosure of listing required. A, listing required. B, electric heaters shall be identified as a listed field installable accessory as part of the listed equipment. All right, so that's all existing language. Now let's do 424.3 as reconditioned equipment, and I am going to do this for 424.3. What the? Oh, 440. This should be 440.3. This should be 440.3, reconditioned equipment. Reconditioned equipment shall comply with 424.3A and B. A, reconditioned equipment shall be permitted to be installed except as indicated in 424.3B. Boy. Shall comply with reconditioned equipment shall comply with 424.3A and B. And then reconditioned equipment shall be permitted to be installed except as indicated in 424.3B. And then B says reconditioned electric space heating cables shall not be permitted to be installed. That is the exact language out of 424.3. Now 440, let's go to 440. 440. Oh man, I had a very long day today. Reconditioned. There is nothing in 440 that deals with reconditioned. So I said here 440.3 edit. The contents, the requirements found in new 440.3 were imported with no taxes, were imported from 424.3. Article 440 does not include requirements related to reconditioning. Done. All right. 424.3 is El Finito Benito. Now, other articles, 424.8. So here's what I think. Well, we need a 424.4. Where's branch circuits? Where's branch circuits? So what I'm doing is I'm looking at 424, and 424.4 is titled branch circuits. 424.5 is continuous load. There's my 424.5. Where are branch circuits? And I think there is part 2, circuit conductors. And that's what I did. Look what I did. In part 2, circuit conductors, I put 424.4. So I have 424.4 covered. I have 424.5 covered up here in general requirements. And then I go to 424.8. which is other articles. Other articles. Is that a let me do a search for the term other articles. So what you want to do when you're doing a public input, you want to make sure that you align with similar terms and similar ways to write things in other areas of the code, because then you at least have precedence on the language that you've selected. And it looks like other articles. It looks like other articles is not. There's no consistent. It looks like .4 is other articles. 512.4, 515.4, 513.4, 120.4, and then it's not quite. It looks like 525.4, 265.4. So it looks like if we can make .4 other articles, that would be good. So if we say 440.2, 440.3 is reconditioned, and we'll make this 440.4. 440.4, other articles. Now, I'm in 440, so I don't necessarily need this table. We have to determine whether or not we actually need this now, because the only other article that pertained in 424 was 440, which you are already in, so I don't I don't know that I need 440.4, but what I'm going to do is, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do this. Section 440.4 was created to align with other articles that use this section number for other articles, for the title, for a listing of reference articles that the user of this article need to be aware of which I could rewrite that better English, but this section includes the other articles as a that will apply, that will pertain to the topic of this article. Whatever. And I'm going to do this. TD, please identify any other articles or sections that should be reviewed related to the equipment covered herein. For example, should we put in Article 430 as a reference? I don't know. 430 would make sense because it's for motors and will probably point to various locations. All right. Makes sense? Capiche? All right. So now that's 440 articles. Now we go to 440.4 is other articles. 440.5 continuous load. This is fixed electric space heating equipment, and that is what was in 424. But I think we could say fixed. I think it would be fair to say the equipment. The equipment. Is equipment the right word? Always be careful of your words. Words matter. Equipment. Yes, the equipment, it is a defined term. The equipment covered by this article shall be considered a continuous load. Boom. Bam. Make sense? Oh, man, I'm going to have a long night tonight because I got to get public inputs in. I got to finish this article. I got service, disconnecting means definition, defined term, and a bunch of changes associated with that. And I got to get done by 5 o'clock tomorrow. All right, so 440.5. We'll come back to table 440.4, other articles, and we'll reconsider anything that should be in here after the fact. All right. 440.5. Then this is 440.7. Marking on hermetic. So this is an existing requirement. Oh, I'm going to do this. The language for continuous load requirements found in this section were taken from Article 424, specifically Section 424.5. Modifications were made to ensure that all equipment covered by this article is considered a continuous loady-roady. Make a sense? That's a good. Man, I could go to sleep right now. All right. Marking on hermetic refrigerant motor compressors. I didn't touch this section because it is what it is. All of that is good. I don't know why this indicates as a change. Let's do a review. Review. Next change. I'm going to get a hit accept. All right. So 440.7 is the marking on none of that's going to change. Supply circuit ampacity. Oh, so I changed this. Steve, I agree, David. I do not like the A2L stuff either. More points of failure. Yes, and when those failures, so here's what I was told was when those fail, and if there's no power to deal with it, you get the kaboom, and that's not good. I don't know that I agree with the kaboom part, but they said it's highly flammable, and they're using that to justify removing GFCIs. So anyway. All right, supply circuit conductor ampacity. So I called this supply circuit conductor ampacity instead of just ampacity because it's multi-component, it's the supply conductors. And I'm going to say modified. Ooh, watch this. The title of this section, because the title of this first level subdivision within which it resides is multimotor and combination load equipment. And it is in section 440.7, which is dealing with marking on hermetic equipment, period. This item is dealing with ampacity and selecting the minimum supply circuit conductor ampacity, period. The suggested language change adds clarity, but one could question why. A minimum circuit conductor ampacity is being selected as part of a section that is titled marking, period. And my issue there is it probably could be broke out into its own section to talk about the minimum circuit ampacity. That's what should be. We should have a section that just deals with minimum circuit ampacity for these loads. But I'm not, again, I'm just melding the two. I'm not trying to make technical changes. I'm just trying to add clarity. So it is what it is. All right. There's an Article 440 reference. Branch circuit, short circuit. See, this is what's funny is this section, this is in marking on hermetic refrigerant, motor compressors, and equipment. A is the nameplate. B, it just says multi-motor and combination load equipment. You get into general, shall be marked with this information, and then it says supply circuit conductor ampacity. And it tells you how to calculate the ampacity. It tells you how to determine the maximum rating of the branch circuit, short circuit, and ground fault protection device. Must not exceed. That's not a marking requirement. It's screwed up. But I'm not here to fix that. I'm here to just meld these two articles together. Multi-motor or combination load equipment for use on 2 or more circuits shall be marked with the above information for each circuit. So in my opinion, there should be a section in here that says, here's how you determine the branch circuit, short circuit, and ground fault protection. Here's how you determine the ampacity of the conductor. Here's how you deal with whatever. And then you say it shall be marked with the following, and you list it, and you can put the references for each section where you're getting the information. That's not what they did here, and I'm not going to try to fix that. I can put it in comments, which I did here, which is there. I said that, and okay, I'm going to do this. Changes were made here. To establish the fact that the determination is for the maximum rating of the branch circuit, short circuit, and ground fault protective device. One could argue that this determination does not belong in a marking section. There should be a specific section that addresses the protection of the branch circuit supplying this equipment. In the marking requirements, language could be added to require this information to be on the label, and it could reference this section for clarity. Make sense? You catching what I'm throwing? Because it does not make sense that you have a requirement for overcurrent protection in a section that is supposed to be just marking. And we got Alan Bernstein in the house. How the heck are you, Mr. 4526? Good to see you again online, my friend. Mi amigo. All right, so we are combining two articles, Alan. You came in at the right time. All right, so we had that. We had the ampacity. Okay, accessible. Motor nameplates shall be accessible after the installation. So that's fine. And there's 3 exceptions. Branch circuit selection current. That's another C. Oh no, you're fine. So B is multi-motor. Let me take track changes off. I gotta get rid of some of these spaces. Okay. Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay. Okay, there's your multi-motor. And then C is your branch circuit selection current. How can I have branch circuit selection current in a marking section? Jeez, oh man. A hermetic refrigerant motor compressor or equipment containing such a compressor having a protection system that is provided for use with the motor compressor that it protects and that permits continuous current in excess of the specified percentage of nameplate rated load current given in 440.62 or B4 shall also be marked with a branch circuit selection current that complies with 62B2B4. This marking shall be provided by the equipment manufacturer and shall be on the nameplate where the rated load currents appear. Oh my God. This marking, hermetic refrigerant, having a protection that is provided, that is protects, and that permits continuous current, shall also be marked. So this is a marking requirement. So it is a marking requirement. I'm not going to argue. If that's the way you want to roll, then that's the way you want to roll. All right, putting track changes back on. Marking on controllers. So 440.5 is marking on controllers. A controller shall be marked with the manufacturer's name, identifying, you know what? Shall be marked with the following. 1, manufacturer's name. 2, trademark or, nope, I'll do this. Manufacturer's symbol. 2, identifying designation. What the heck is that? 3, voltage. 4, phase. Full load and locked rotor current, horsepower rating. Other data as may be needed to properly indicate the motor compressor for which it is suitable. Wow. Tell you. I like a list format better. It's readable. Now, ampacity and rating 440.6. 440, I'm just going to say on this one here, this section was modified into list format for usability. All right, ampacity and rating. I moved this somewhere. I moved it somewhere. I think there it is. 440.6. You see this? I did it in part 2, 440.6. Okay, so where was it? Okay. Track changes off. Home. Normal. All right, so I go up. Where did I delete it? Here it is. 440.6. I'm gonna say this section was relocated to part 2, which is titled Circuit Conductors. Ay, 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 ay. As the ampacity and rating is not a general requirement, but rather aligns with the title and content of Part 2, Circuit Conductors. Makes sense? All right, so 440.6 was moved. 440.7. Highest rated, largest motor. Where did I move that? Where did I move that to? I moved this to somewhere. Here's what we do. Highest rated, Control F. Highest rated. Boom, boom. Boom, 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 boom. Okay. There it is. I moved it to 440.17. Why did I move it there? All right, I'm just going to do this. This section was relocated to 440.17 to align with structure of this article. Boom. All right, so, oh my gosh. I'm dying over here. All right, so I got 440.7. I moved that to 440.17. Thank you, Johnny B. An air conditioning or refrigerated system shall be considered to be a single machine. Oh boy. I'm going to highlight this. We don't know what an air conditioner is. It's not a defined term. Can I say heating, cooling? Let's do this. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. Whoopa, whoopa. Control Z. Review track changes. A heating, cooling, or refrigerating system shall be considered to be a single machine. I am the machine. under the provisions of 430.87 exception number 1 and 430.112 exception, the motors shall be permitted to be located remotely from each other. Heating, cooling, and refrigeration equipment shall not be installed within a zone measured 3 foot horizontally and 8 foot vertically from the top of a bathtub rim or shower stall. The zone shall be all-encompassing and include the space directly over the tub or shower stall. What do you guys think of that? Any problems? I put heating and cooling. So any problems with putting... We don't put heaters inside of showers, right? I don't think so. Grounding and bonding, I left that alone where equipment is installed outdoors on a roof. Short circuit current rating. Alan. Okay, I was late. This is a major move info around exercise. Did you share the benefit of moving this info around? Personal preference, or is there... Oh, okay. Here was the primary driver here, Alan. That's a good question. And I do want to make sure I address that. The primary motivating factor for doing this merge was that there are some equipment that does heating and cooling. And inspectors don't know how to handle a piece of equipment that does heating and cooling. I'm not going to say inspectors don't know how to handle it. I'm going to say that because of the ambiguity, it puts inspectors and installers in a difficult position because you have one piece of equipment that does both heating and cooling. What article do you go to? Do you go to the article that says it's for heating? Do you go to the article that says it's for cooling? There isn't an article that says it does heating and cooling. So now this could be 100% for naught. We discussed this as a team, as a task group, but we never got past a meeting. Just didn't have time. So what I'm doing is I'm saying, look, let's combine these two together. It's probably not going to pass. It's a thought process. It's a great exercise. And it keeps it alive for the second draft. That is why we're doing what we're doing. And now I could translate that into the safety issue was in 422, which I have to deal with that too. 422 says that for central heating equipment, I think it's heating, you need to have a receptacle or something like that. And a few inspectors have told me they got into debates with contractors because the contractor said, well, I don't need to pull a receptacle there. And then the inspector would say, yeah, it says in here in 422. And they would say, well, that says central heating equipment. This is not central heating. It's central heating and cooling equipment. It's listed as both. And they would go round and round and round. And you know who wins that one. But it causes confusion. And then there's a bunch of other examples. So that's why we're doing this. Hopefully that helps explain it for you. All right. Thank you, sir. All right. So, single machine and location. A heating, cooling, or refrigerating system shall be considered to be... Okay, we said that. Grounding and bonding. Short circuit current rating. 440.10. This is all in part 1, general requirements. Motor controllers or industrial control panels of multi-motor and combination load equipment shall not be installed where the available fault current exceeds its short circuit current rating, as marked in accordance with 440.4b, which is up there. Yeah, Alan. The problem was there were different requirements. It's hard to say it's got to meet both when there's conflicting requirements. So what I should be also doing is make sure that we eliminate any conflicts. And then I got to get rid of 422.5. 422, whatever the article, whatever the section was. I'm not sure what this, it's not 422.5. 422 something. Motors controllers or industrial control panels of multi-motor or combination load equipment shall not be installed where the available fault current exceeds its short circuit current rating, as marked in accordance with blah. When motor controllers or industrial control panels of multi-motor and combination load equipment are required to be marked with a short circuit current rating, the available fault current and the date the available fault current calculation was performed shall be. Now, I'm going to look at 424. And I'm looking to see anything around short circuit current rating. All right, I'm not seeing anything in here for short circuit current ratings. Oh, they got duct heaters. Nope, 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 nope. Wow, this is a lot to do before tomorrow at 5. And I got a regular job to do. All right, so similar to 430.83F in part 7, or I like it here in part 1 general better. Yep. I'm going to leave it there. That's Johnny B. Good. I'm going to delete the thread. Nice threads, man. All right, highest rated largest motor. All right, we already. Oh, I see what he did. So he moved it to 440.17. Okay, 440.17. Edit. Align with the structure of this article and with the structure of Article 430, which has a section titled, which has a section 430.17 with the same title as this. Consistency and alignment will breed accuracy and proper enforcement. Oh, the words, it's like poetry. I'm here to tell you. All right, so I'm going to delete that comment. Delete the thread, baby. All right, then we got part 2, which used to be part 4. I'm calling part 2 circuit conductors. I'm supposed to have a call with somebody at 5 or 6. Make sure I didn't get a text. Makes sense. All right, so part 4, 440.21. Let's make sure the 440? Yeah, 440. Jeez. I'm in 440, Tom. 440.21, general. Part 4, and adjustments made in accordance with Part 3 of Article 310. Specify ampacity of conductors required to carry the motor current without overheating under the conditions specified, except as modified by in 440.6a, exception number 1. Oh boy, where was 440.6a? So I don't have a 440.6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. This should be, oh boy, 8, 9, 10. This should be 8. And then this should be 9. And then this should be 10. And this should be 11 because it goes to 11. And then there's 17. All right. What was 440.6? Ampacity and rating. It said 440.6a. Where do we do it? 440.6a. Didn't we put that in the conductors? Yeah. So branch circuits. An individual branch circuit shall be permitted. Four 440.6a. Oh, that's because of hermetic refrigerants. See, I'm going to make this 440.22. And I'm going to make this 440.23. And I'm going to make this 440.24. And I'm going to change the general requirements to 440.24, A1, exception 1. These articles shall not apply to integral conductors of motors. These articles? These articles? I'm going to delete that anyway. So my comments are that that can come out. Right? I mean, Article 90 tells us, and 110 tells us we don't inspect inside of listed equipment. So I am burning that one. I burned it. I done burned it. 440.22, branch circuits. An individual branch circuit shall be permitted to supply any volt, ampere, or wattage rating of fixed electric space heating equipment for which the branch circuit is rated. A multi-outlet branch circuits. Branch circuits supplying 2 or more outlets other than dwelling units. In other than dwelling units. In other than a dwelling unit. Hey, what's up, Buttercup? Greetings and salutations. So, Robert, welcome to the team, buddy. We're working on merging 2 articles. And reorganizing 440. 440.23, equipment marked with a minimum circuit ampacity. When equipment is marked with a minimum circuit ampacity, the ampacity of the conductors supplying this equipment should not be less than the marked minimum circuit ampacity. .24, ampacity and rating. When equipment is marked with a... It's about time. Yeah. The size of conductors for equipment covered by this article shall be selected from table 310.16 through 310.19 or calculated in accordance with 310.14 as applicable. The required ampacity of conductors and the ampere rating of equipment shall be determined according to 440.6a and 440.6b. A is your hermetic, and B is your multi-motor equipment. And then you got 440.22, single motor. Branch circuit conductor supplying a single motor compressor. For a Y start. And then 440.3024, motor compressors with or without additional motor loads. Combination load. Air handling units. Oh, man. I think for an air handling unit, we would simply refer them to Article 430. Would you or would you not agree with that one? Would you just point them to 430? .430 is motors. Where would you point them? Part 2. Requirements for sizing the circuit for an air handling unit that may include only a motor or shall meet the requirements of Article 440, Article 430, Part 2, motor circuit conductors. Air handler listed as a motor only or appliance. But HVAC article has special requirements for circuit sizing that is not in 430. That is correct. And that's because it's a hermetic motor. And that means that it is a motor inside of a refrigerant. So it cools the motor for you. But again, we're dealing with the air handler and etc. Air handler listed as motor only or appliance or what? So that's a good question. And what Donnie Cook had shared with me were pictures that showed that the air handler was listed to 1995. That's heating and cooling equipment. Let's take a look. In 1995. This is 1995. Control F, air handler. It's not in here. Okay, air handler. He did show me, but it could be that there were, I don't know, heating elements in there or a coil of some sort. We'll make this 440.27. Requirements for sizing shall meet the sizing the circuit for an air handling unit that may include only a motor or include a motor and heating elements shall meet the requirements of Article 430 Part 2 motor circuit conductors. Central heating equipment. This is from 422.12. We'll call this 440.28. Central heating equipment other than fixed electric heating equipment shall be supplied by an individual. That's what it was. An individual branch circuit. Uh-oh. Alan's weighing in. You are a brave man. This is a large undertaking. It is a large undertaking. And hence why we did not get done in our task group. It was too big. But I am bound and determined. See, you know what it's like, Alan? It's like if you're going to climb Mount Everest and go down the other side. That's your goal. Is it easier to try to go with a whole group, or do you travel light and alone and get things done? You may die by the time you get to the top of Mount Everest, but you'll get further than if you had 25 people you were trying to carry along with you. They would have been dying off along the way. It's a bad analogy, I know. But in any case, that's what I'm thinking. All right, so I gotta find out. Remember that UL 1995 is replaced by, I know, Steve. I'm going to attack this like eating an elephant, one bite at a time. You're absolutely right. Yeah, I saw that, and for some reason, I can't download 60335-2-40. I think it's an international standard. I got to go to a different source. All right, part 3, motor compressor and branch circuit overload protection. Let's do this. Whoopsie daisies. Let's give it its own page. Part 6 specifies devices intended to protect the motor compressor, and I moved this. Motor compressor and branch circuit overload protection. So the way this is working is I can't zoom in, can I? I've got over here on the left, I got part 1 general, part 2 circuit conductors, part 3 motor compressor. Part 4, branch circuit, short circuit. Part 4, branch circuit, short circuit, and ground fault protection. Part 5, controllers from motor compressors. Part 6, disconnecting means. Part 7, room air conditioners. Part 8, central heating. Part 9, split air conditioning. This should be central heating and cooling. Boom, 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 boom. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to take all of that, Control X, come down here, Control V. Central heating and cooling equipment other than fixed electric space heating equipment shall be supplied by an individual branch circuit. Central heating, cooling, it's up there. Hold on, Robert. And equipment that performs both heating and cooling. Other than fixed electric space heating equipment shall be supplied by an individual branch circuit. What if we did this? Exception number 3. Fixed electric space heating equipment shall not require an individual branch circuit. And I can delete this. Central heating, cooling, and equipment that performs both heating and cooling shall be supplied by an individual branch circuit. Exception number 1, auxiliary equipment such as a pump. Exception number 2, permanently connected air conditioning equipment shall be permitted to be connected to the same branch circuit. Same branch circuit as what? Fixed electric space heating equipment shall not require an individual branch circuit. All right. All right. So, Robert, part 3 is your motor compressor and branch circuit overload protection. What if we said just branch circuit overload protection? Right? This is the overload protection for the branch circuit that serves everything that's in the scope. Part 6 specifies devices intended to protect the motor compressor, the motor control apparatus, and the branch circuit conductors against excessive heating due to motor overload and failure to start. C240.4G for application of parts 3 and 6 of Article 440. I hope those are right. Parts 3 and 6 of 440. What were parts 3 and 6 of 440? Part 3 is branch circuit, short circuit, and ground fault, and 6 is motor compressor. Branch circuit, short circuits, part 4. Part 4. And motor compressor and branch circuit overload protection. Part 3. I can't have an informational note that references the part that I'm already in. Application and selection. Protection of motor compressor. Each motor compressor shall be protected against overload and failure to start. So these are all overloads. Branch circuit and equipment. Overload protection. Because we're protecting the motor compressor as well. Each motor compressor shall be protected against overload and failure to start by one of the following means. Each motor compressor. Protection of motor compressor control apparatus. Overload relays and other devices for motor overload protection that are not capable of blah, blah, blah. Now I'm curious in 424. I got to look at 424 fixed and space heating if there's an overload protection in there as well. I'm not seeing overload protection. Rejected. No more play for Mr. Gray. I am not seeing Control F, overload. There's no 424, doesn't have anything on overloads. It's all 440. It's all you, baby. 440.41, protective device rating not to exceed the manufacturer's values. Where maximum protective device rating shown, that's a protective device that wouldn't be here for overload. Why did I take that out? All right, I think I'm good. I think I'm good with branch circuit and equipment overload protection. I don't know why I deleted this. John McCamish did. He said delete protective device rating not to exceed. So John deleted it. Overload butt bin at factory or added. Built in at factory or added. I don't know that I care. The motor compressor shall be provided with overload protection selected as specified in 440.37a. Oh boy, 440.37a. We got to change that now. We got to check that number. This is a huge undertaking. All of these references got to be updated. Gotta find out when I'm supposed to meet with somebody here. All right, so this I might cut this one short because depends on if I've got to meet somebody. I'm supposed to meet at 5, and it is 5:26. Overload protection. All right, so we got general application and selection, overload relays, motor compressors, and equipment on a 15 or 20 amp branch circuit. And then you have cord and attachment plug connected motor. And then we go to branch circuit short circuit protection and ground fault. The motor compressor branch circuit short circuit and ground fault protective device shall be capable of carrying the starting current of the motor. A protective device having a rating or setting not exceeding 175% of the motor compressor rated. All right, so I got that. All those requirements are there. That I don't have a problem with that. Shall be capable of carrying the starting current of the equipment where the hermit. Okay, so protective device rating. There it is. Not to exceed manufacturer's values. So we moved it down here. All right, that is C, and I can do this. Review, no markup. All right, there we go. Part 5. Wow. Part 4. I'm going to do that. I'm going to give each part its own piece. Okay, so let's go to part 5. Controllers and motor compressors. A motor compressor controller shall have both continuous. Let's put all markup. All right. I am going to. All right. Give me 5. All right. I am going. I'm going to wrap this one up. I may go live again. I don't know. Stay tuned. I am going to try to finish up. I've got to take a look. Somebody's going to send me a meeting invite. We're going to go over some public inputs, and then I think I will come back to this. So I'm going to sign. I am going to sign off for now. Robert, Steve, Alan, I'm going to sign off for now because I'm going to come back in a little bit. I've been going for an hour and 58 minutes, and I think I'm dying, but I'm going to get a meeting invite and get on a call, and then I'll probably come back and clean this up so that I can make this. And what I've got to do is I've got to go through 424 and make sure, cross off all of those sections and make sure I've covered it in the new 440. Look at the numbering, make sure all the numbering is good. And then we will have one article that deals with both, with heating, cooling, ventilation, heating, cooling, air handling, and whatnot. All right, man, I'm exhausted. I will be back though. Gentlemen, ladies, thank you. Take care, stay safe, and please stay healthy. We will see you.